Alright, hello everyone, I believe we are live. If somebody could just let me know if I'm not audible, that would be fantastic, so I don't carry on without saying anything for the next 10 minutes. So, this is sort of an impromptu channel update, and then I'll probably just take questions and play some Among Us for the remainder of it. So this won't go very long. I anticipate we'll probably be done in about an hour. But just so you guys know what's going on with the channel, it's been a little bit slow recently, obviously, for a couple of reasons. One, there's been a lot of personal stuff coming up, but also we're trying to figure out what the best way to actually structure our video production flow going forward. And so the idea behind this video is just to take the opportunity to float some ideas by you and let you know sort of where our head's at right now. By us, I mean myself and the administration of my Discord server. So first off, right off the bat, there are a few upcoming events. I suppose one's actually ongoing, but the first one is on Sunday, and let me just double check the time here. On Sunday, I will be joining ChudLogic and Zonzi on ChudLogic's Twitch channel to play Among Us and to discuss God knows what. Let me just pull up the actual time because I've quite forgotten when that is exactly. But it will be on the Sunday of the 13th, 3 p.m. Eastern. Yes. So the Sunday of the 13th, 3 p.m. Eastern, I will be appearing on ChudLogic's stream with Zonzi to play Among Us, and Jelma Bayorn will also be joining us. I have no idea who else will be there, but the plan is each of us will bring 2 friends. I don't know who else I'm going to bring, and then there will be 1 wild card thrown in, so it'll make a full house of 10, so we can actually have a full game where we're just chatting amongst each other. So that's a lot more fun than just with randos, as we will learn very shortly, I am sure. The second thing is, at the moment we have a group, a reading group, going on the Discord server. It's sort of an academic type seminar. It's being hosted by Jalma/Ambrose. That's Jalma's name on the Discord, which he runs. And he's actually a philosophy teacher. So he's running a weekly seminar on Hegel's Phenomenology of Spirit right now. We're doing roughly 10 pages a week. We just finished the introduction, which is about 10 pages. Right now we're doing the first section, which is called On Sense Certainty. And that is, I believe, about 9 pages long. So that's on Friday, and I believe it is at... Is it 8 p.m. GMT? It's at 11 a.m. Pacific time, so you can do the calculation there. But anyone's welcome. The only caveat is we do require that you've actually done the reading. So go into the Discord, see what we do have a PDF of the version of the book that we're using. Catch up with the readings, and you're welcome to join us for a discussion. Or if you haven't done the readings, you're welcome to listen silently. We just prefer that, just to not break up the flow of the conversation, that if you haven't been able to do the readings for whatever reason, we don't want people asking questions, because it's a very dense text, and we found that it takes a lot of work even to get through just one chapter in about an hour and a half, and we're all very busy, so just out of consideration for the people who are taking part who did do the readings, that would be great. But anyone's welcome to listen in if they want. And then, of course, you can always ask questions outside of the discussion as well, and there are lots of people there who are very happy to talk about the sort of thing. We do have a lot of philosophy PhDs in the server, as well as lawyers, apparently, I've come to learn, which has been rather interesting. Right, so with respect to the channel proper, so for the last year, because we're going on to a little over a year now we've been active, and I think we've done pretty well. We're at just short of 1,500 subscribers, which isn't a lot, but I think considering this particular channel's history, it's quite a bit better than I anticipated. I think a lot of people have been sort of slowing down with election fatigue, so we've been weirdly dancing around 1,460 for a little while. But that aside, for the last year, the approach to video production has been largely, if there is, I don't know, if somebody makes a video we want to respond to, or if there's an event or something, I felt that as a political theorist, I could add something to that discussion, or if there was something about the way certain discussions were taking place that was bothering me, I could introduce my own ideas. And it was very much a kind of making it up as you go sort of thing. And that's not going to stop. I'm still going to do response videos and things like that. But we've been, and by we I mean myself and certain people in the Discord server, Jelma chiefly among them, we've been discussing what the best way to go forward is in terms of efficiency, because I would like to do this more regularly, and with a more consistent degree of quality and more consistently, which I guess is the same thing as regularly, but so that there is a reliable stream of high quality content here, which sounds like it's a cringily corporate way of saying it, but I don't want to sacrifice the integrity of the channel or of the depth of what we're trying to do, but I also want to be able to do it more. And it actually does take a lot of work. So one of the things we have to do is we have to plan far in advance, so the research can be done at sort of a slow and steady hum months in advance before the videos actually come out. So for example, I would plan, say, to do, and this is just an example, I'm not saying we're actually doing this, but let's say by next October I wanted to have solidified and made, articulated my opinions on libertarianism, say. I would schedule the videos, and sort of like, obviously there would be alterations over time as my own learning increases, but I would schedule the videos for that period slowly over the course of the months while I'm giving myself time to actually read people like Karl Menger, Ludwig von Mises, Rothbard, Hoppe, and I could even then transfer after that into people like Peter Thiel, Curtis Yarvin, Nick Land, what have you, the people they influenced. And that way I can actually have some pretty interesting theses developed by the time that month rolls around, instead of starting to do all of my research kind of on a lark. You know, so another example is I wanted to do a video on relating certain elements of political philosophy to Dune. Of course, the new film's coming out in October of 2021, and I would like that to sort of coincide for a number of reasons. First of all, because I would prefer the video to not just get lost in the YouTube waves. I'd like it to actually get some views. But secondly, I'd like to have time to actually produce it properly. So I would probably schedule my Dune videos, or video, we'll see how that actually goes, for September of 2021, late September of 2021. And then I would be sort of slowly working on that over the year, and that would come out around then. So that's more or less how this is going to go. So I'm going to have the major releases, which have sort of been trickling out haphazardly and randomly for the last little while. Those are all going to come out at set periods in the next year. Does that mean anything whatsoever for you guys? Not really, because I'm not going to publish the schedule at all. And it's subject to radical change, of course, but that's sort of how this is going to be going. So the upshot really is just there's going to be more of them, because time and scheduling is going to be less of a complicating factor. And then the final note is that, and additionally, because we'll have that scheduled, I'll be able to be more aggressive about getting guests and things, so that'll be happening a lot more often as well. And then finally, I will also start moving over to Twitch a little bit. I'm going to keep doing the YouTube stuff. This is where my video essays are going to go. But I'm also going to start doing streaming on Twitch in the near future. I have started an account. There is a link in the description. I have done nothing on there yet, but I'm probably going to start doing things like when I do gaming streams, for example, like I've done here. I will probably do them on Twitch. There are a few advantages to it. I can do Twitch more passively than I do YouTube. It takes an immense amount of work to make a YouTube video essay. On Twitch, I can have more organic discussions and engage more fluidly without expending as much effort, and then break down meaningful chunks and publish them to YouTube, which also means more content as well. So subscribe to that, because there will be a lot more on that in the near future. At the moment, it is completely empty, but that's sort of where that's going. All right, so that's basically it for channel updates. And now we're just going to play Among Us for a little bit. If anybody has any questions, I do not require super chats at all, but I do ask that if you ask a question, you put an asterisk at the beginning and at the end of your question, so that as I'm scrolling through comments, I can find it very easily. Maybe that won't be necessary, who knows, maybe we won't have anybody watching, but that's more or less how we do it here. So, without further ado, let's get into this. Full. Oh, that was fast, thank God. Purple's okay. Okay, where am I going? Storage. That's down. Okay, we'll wait till that's at 15, then we'll move. Oh. Okay. I'm gonna go that way, I don't want to die. Okay. Okay, it's drifting. I just finished Alien Isolation for the first time recently, and it's kind of remarkable how similar these games are. What are you doing? Okay. Divert power to shields, clear astra. Oh! No, orange, my favorite color. That is in navigation. Boy, people are just... We are bleeding players in this game, aren't we? Who's still here? Rosenberg says Alien Isolation was too buggy on my machine to complete, kept getting stuck at the end of the missions. I found there were a few moments in Alien Isolation that were super buggy, but for the most part it was pretty tight. I think for me, I actually had a pretty clean run until this one part near the end where you fall into an elevator and there's a facehugger right at the bottom. And I didn't realize the facehugger was there, so Actually, it was weird. So I started moving to look at an android body. Oh, I should... Oh, he's gone. Okay. Take that. Oh dear, that looks bad optics. Yeah, so I started to sort of approach an android body to see if I could find some ammunition, and this facehugger jumped on me, and then it started auto-saving right away because there was a cutscene going on and you're moving on to another level. And it went black because my character died, obviously, because I got hit by a facehugger. But... What are you doing, Blue? But, when I tried to reload the game, it would keep me there as if I had been hit by a facehugger every single time. Because the game had saved with a facehugger on my face, so it had basically ruined my entire run. Okay, I don't like this. I was so disappointed when I learned that wasn't a gun on the wall. Because for some reason I always thought there was a gun that you could pick and kill the imposter with, which would have been interesting, I think. Alright. Yeah, Alien Isolation was really good. I was, however, very glad to finish it, and I have no intentions to play it again. Unless there's demand for it. There is one game I really want to play when I start Twitch streaming soon, and that's Deus Ex, the first one. And there's a particular significance to that game because it's actually where I learned about the Man Who Was Thursday in the first place from, because there are excerpts from that book on PDFs. What? What? Oh, they must have double killed the last few players. Bastards. Alright. Yeah, so anyways, that's probably going to be my first Twitch game when that happens. I have no idea when it's going to happen, but hopefully soon. Most of these changes are for the new year. So this December, obviously, I have to finish the final nationalism video. It's taken way too long. I have a large chunk of it already recorded and finished. I'm probably going to make some alterations because I'm not super happy with it, but the groundwork's there, so it really, there's no excuse to not finish at this stage. Don't you dare. Oh, you're doing it. Okay. I don't like you. Alright. But yeah, so I'm going to be finishing off that, and then I'm going to... Wow. Boy, what a puzzle, guys. I'm going to start doing more scheduled stuff following that. Bastards. Lord Bryant asks, President Sunday ever played Max Payne 1 and 2, PS2 Classic? I haven't. I do actually have, I think, Max Payne 2 on Steam, because I got it from a bundle. What? Okay. I haven't played either of the Max Payne games. I have ever played Enter the Matrix, which was terrible, but kind of fun still on the PS2. And it's very similar. It uses the same bullet time mechanic. Among Us lobbies are the feature of dissident right, no censorship. Actually, I'm actually kind of surprised about that. Actually, has there been anyone... Who have we got? No, it doesn't seem that. I hate these people. These are the worst people on Earth. People in Among Us who say, can somebody watch me do the mini game that proves that I am not an imposter? I don't know what it is. It's a perfectly reasonable request. And if you were trapped on a space station and there was a device whereby you could prove that you were not an alien imposter, it would be the smartest thing to do. Say, hey guys, everybody watch me do the blood test so you know I'm not the thing. But in this, when people do that, I'd feel nothing but rage. So take that. Wait, was that the right person? Yes, it was. See ya. Okay. 0 imposters remain. What? Is that a glitch? There can't be 0 imposters remaining. That would mean the game's over. Anyways. Oh! Alright. Well, I guess I'm just talking to you guys for a bit then. Son of a bitch. But yeah, other than the nationalist video, I have nothing immediately planned. Besides, you know, the Nomos of Santa Claus or something. But the big goals this year will be, one of the reasons why I really want to do this more scheduled stuff, and particularly with sort of themed months, which won't mean that I'm only doing content around specific themes, but that my major content is going to be covering specific areas for which I will be sort of preparing myself to do justice to, is by the end of next year I actually want to be... It's twofold. It's first of all, it's to increase the quality of the content, but it's also sort of an investment for the future. I want to have solidified my stances on these things and to have actually gotten myself to a point where I can discuss them productively. So, for example, I do know a decent amount about Marx, but I've actually never read Capital all the way through. I've read the introduction and a few smatterings a few years ago in an introductory political science course, but I don't actually have a firm knowledge of what's actually in that book. I haven't read sufficiently in economics generally, so I'm actually really looking forward to actually getting into, for example, libertarian writers and sort of bouncing that off of more mainstream economic theory or what have you. Like, I don't even know where I'm going to end up falling at the end of that. So that's why that's going to be really interesting, because I'll actually be, this will be an educational opportunity for me. Which, I mean, it has consistently been already, but in a less focused way. So, oh my god. Vegan says, tried to listen to the audiobook of Capital, it is a nightmare. Why on earth would you listen to an audiobook of Das Kapital? That sounds horrible. There were people in the Discord who wanted to listen to an audiobook of Hegel, of all people. And oh my god. Hegel was a terrible writer. Kant gets a bad rap. Hegel is just, oh my god. Now, I mean, he's also a brilliant... is he a brilliant writer? No. He's got some brilliant ideas, which almost seems impudent to say. Like, yes, I do think Hegel was quite smart, actually, myself. It's like, no, of course he was. He was a genius. But impenetrable writing. Not impenetrable, but very difficult. He uses... Maybe this is just in translation, but he uses terms in a very unintuitive way, and his sentences are very long and sort of they kind of circle, they loop back on themselves a lot, and that's a part of his thought, of course, but at the same time it makes him an absolute nightmare to sit down and read. I am currently nearing the end of my first full read of Hegel's Elements of the Philosophy of Right, which was brutally difficult. What the hell? The game just started. I think I have like 40 pages left, and that was really hard. Because I'd only read the introduction a few years ago until now, which is why it was in my reading list. Okay, what's going on? Weapons, where? But I am finding the Phenomenology of Spirit a lot easier. That's the one we're reading in the Discord server right now. On Friday at 8 p.m. we are doing 8 p.m. GMT. We are doing the first section on sense certainty. It's advised that if you want to take part, that you also try and read the introduction, but it's not. I don't think it's mandatory. Ambrose can beat me up later if that's not the case, but I don't think it's mandatory. But yeah, reading the Elements of the Philosophy of Right slowly and carefully over the past couple of months and taking notes, that has been... Okay, I should focus on this quickly. Who is an admin? Why is discussion taking so long? I don't like you. Yeah, so reading the Elements of the Philosophy of Right has been really beneficial. The Phenomenology of Spirit is way easier, having done the Philosophy of Right. I don't know if that's because the Philosophy of Right sort of revises a lot that was in the Phenomenology of Spirit, so a lot of it is kind of like it's old stuff by the time you finish that book. I don't know, I haven't read it all through yet, but it is a much smoother read than the Philosophy of Right was in the first 2/3 of the book. The last part's a little bit easier because now you're getting into actual political science. But my god, that was a slog. I thought Schmidt was a slog. Hegel is... Keep away, Pink. Alright. Yeah, that was exact. Different power to... Electrical. Oh, what the hell? Okay, I may find a body back here. Don't. Okay. Don't. Okay, Cyan is in here. Am I about to die? and I am, let's be honest, but yeah. Okay. Reactor. Can you guys remember who was heading towards the reactor? Somebody was heading towards the reactor. I can't recall the color. Was that cyan? It brown and green. I don't think it brown and green. Oh, it was blue, right? Blue was... Cyan died. Oh, good thing I didn't suggest cyan then. That wouldn't have looked good. But yeah, no. Hegel and Marx you have to read on a piece of paper so you can reread them over and over again. And Lord Bryant asks, are there any conservative philosophers who can give the right a fresh breath of air? I mean, the problem is that it depends on what you mean by conservative, right? I mean, in certain respects, I consider myself a conservative philosopher. I don't, not that I'd recommend myself at all, but as far as conservative philosophers who would be aligned with the right, what on earth? Like, to want to identify as being on the right wing implies some things. Sorry. I think the right wing in general right now, as a label, attracts a certain kind of person, who is almost categorically not someone who's going to be, not going to breathe a fresh breath of fresh air into the right. I really think the right is starting to narrow and ossify right now. And the differences are becoming smaller and smaller, and it's really becoming not so much the other side of culture-wide binary so much as like a almost what happened? Oh, I guess see, this is why you need to play with a party of people that you know, because you have clannishness like this. What was I saying? Yeah, so it increasingly seems like the political right is becoming just a small clique or a cult within the broader political landscape, and not so much something representative of an actual like side of humanity or something, as I like to posture. In terms of what conservative philosophers would breathe some fresh air into the right if they were to take them up, I actually can't think of anybody living who I would regard as conservative. I don't know. I think the main thing is they're just not really doing serious or... Oh, here we go. We'll wait for somebody to scan us. They're just not doing serious work right now, generally. They're engaging in sort of cultural polemics. But... yeah, I don't know. Like, what kind of intellectual actually thrives in the right wing right now? They seem to be almost universally kooks who don't engage with the broader, with other intellects in their fields. So I don't know. My general sense is that it's a lost cause. That was a very meandery answer, but yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a. I'm voting red because he annoys me. Oh, okay, December left the game. Yellow asked me a sus question. Oh, I can't vote? What? What? Oh, I just wasted my vote. Unbelievable. Alright. Yeah, I don't know. I think the right's generally a lost cause right now. I don't think that that's necessarily permanently the case. I think you could see another binary rise where you actually do have like a legitimate debate going on between... Am I dead? No! Damn you, yellow! Okay. God, that was awful. Okay, let's find another room. I don't like those guys, and I'm blaming them entirely for my poor experience. Yes! So. Yeah, I mean... Maybe someday, but right now I don't even see... Like, people talk about, like, left-wing YouTubers versus right-wing YouTubers. Like, I don't see people like Vosh and Destiny as being really on a side or in, like, a sphere. They seem to be... Like, first of all... Yes, finally. Okay, hold that thought. Got some hunting to do. Okay, so, let's see. No keys. Office sweat card, okay. What? Alright. Mr. Cheese. Oh. Alright. I don't know why Popo wants Mr. Cheese booted, but I do think I'm going to kill Mr. Popo first. Yes. Commander Frog asks, who do you plan on reading in economics? That's a good question. Oh no! Alright. Alright, as JF correctly says, I'm about to go on a quest of vengeance. Dun, 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 dun. Why? What is this? Still gonna vote for him. But we'll see what happens. What was I saying? Oh, right. What am I planning on reading economics? Well, I have almost no economics training whatsoever. So, I'm reading a couple of survey things. The two things I'm reading right off the bat are going to be Thomas Piketty's Capital, alongside, of course, Marx's Capital when that comes up. Oh, oh, oh! No, pink. And then I'm also reading Duncan something, I forget the author's name, but it's Adam's Fallacy, and that's sort of a history of economic thought from classical economists to... Actually, you know what? I didn't like that Black made that frivolous meeting, so I'm going to hunt that one down. Unless the other guy's already done it. Now is the winter of your discontent. Alright. I don't think that leaves very many left, does it? But yeah, those two, and then I'm going to start going through... Oh no. Oh, it doesn't matter who they vote for, they're all going to die next anyways. We only need one kill each. Thoughts on Robert Nozick? None, because I haven't read him yet, so Nozick I'll probably do at some point. When I'm going into the libertarian stuff, I'll definitely have to read Anarchy, State, and Utopia. I don't actually know what else of his I'll have to read, if anything, so we'll see. What? I don't understand. There were three other guys. What happened? I have no idea what's going on here. It might have been bad internet. I'm a little bit worried. It occurred to me. If we go on to Chud Logic, because Chud and Zahn are on, they're of course in I think, are they both on the UK? I think they're both in the UK. So we'll see if we don't just get booted constantly. I'm hoping not, but... But yeah, so Piketty's Capital and Adam's Fallacy. It's some casual readings just to get into it. I've already mentioned I will be reading Austrian's Karl Menger, Ludwig von Mises. Those are probably going to be the more intense of those. I do not have high hopes for Hans Hermann Hoppe. I expect Democracy, the God That Failed will be an absolute train wreck, because those books tend to be. Oh, and Ambrose is here, speak of the devil. We shall have to kill him first, won't we? But yeah, so... this is all new territory for me, so we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Okay. Okay, okay, dropship, keys. So the first thing we do... That's not the dropship. That's the dropship, yes. Yes, okay. See, I'm terrible at this. I never remember where everything is. You know what annoys me? There will never... Oh my god. Why? What on earth? This person only had time to... I don't like you, Popo. I don't like you one bit. Alright, anyways. This is what annoys me. So, I just finished Alien Isolation, which was extremely good. It was extremely stressful and not actually all that fun until you get to, like... I mean, it was very satisfying to beat it, and it was beautiful going through. Like, that environment is just so interesting. They took... It's amazing how interesting they managed to make really such an overdone setting. But... what frustrates me is there will never be a sequel to that, because it was... I mean, there was the cell phone sequel, which is actually surprisingly good, but it's basically just alien-themed Five Nights at Freddy's, which I'm not a huge fan of. Good. But, like... there will never be a sequel, because it was extremely expensive to produce, and it didn't sell nearly enough copies. Meanwhile, a game like this has almost identical gameplay to it. And I keep thinking this. Like, I was not impressed by Breath of the Wild at all, the latest Zelda game. I thought it was, like... Why? Ugh. Alright. Yes. Sorry. Okay. This is actually the most annoying game to stream with, I'm just realizing. What am I doing to myself? Anyways. Breath of the Wild was incredibly shallow. It was gorgeous. I loved the environment. I loved the music. A bit. I thought it could use some variety, but I liked it. The dungeons were tiny. The world didn't really have a lot of depth. It was repetitive. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you had nothing to do but run across this gorgeous looking and not barren looking, but in fact quite barren landscape. There was no story. You didn't get that sense of depth. Like, not that Ocarina of Time, for instance, was a particularly deep game, but you had the sense of having gone a distance, like when you finally get into the Shadow Temple or something. Like you've descended. There's been some sort of concrete progression. In Breath of the Wild, you didn't have that. And it's always really frustrated me. We have to wait a long period of time in between games because they have to rebuild the whole thing from the ground up every single time. But they could make a sequel to Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask or another game in that vein with those same graphics at that level of technical sophistication, and it would sell like hotcakes. Why aren't they doing that? It drives me absolutely insane. Like, graphics don't actually improve gameplay all that much. My favorite first-person... Oh, sorry. I'm holding everybody up. Who did it? You. Ah, I deserve that. Anyways. Graphics don't really mean a whole lot at the end of the day, because if they managed... Like, the reason why N64 games worked... and the reason why they still hold up is not because their graphics were so amazing. It's because the art direction was so strong and the game design itself was so tight that you just kind of accepted it. And I think the limitations actually worked in its favor because it forced them to create a sense of place, not by just having a bunch of high-res assets, but by using the resources that they had, to create a sense of place through color and space. So the levels of Ocarina of Time and the worlds of Ocarina of Time are extremely memorable. Not really so much with Breath of the Wild. I think even Twilight Princess, the levels started to kind of blend into each other after a while because they all ended up looking the same. And in fact, sometimes like higher res graphics can make the world look worse because you notice things that go wrong. Whereas with Ocarina of Time, there's a sort of stylizedness to it that comes about just because the graphics aren't particularly sophisticated, so you accept it more easily. Consistency is more important than sophistication in that way. I don't know, just what? Game options received from an old version. What on earth? Okay, also this game is extraordinarily buggy, so... Sorry, Ambrose, you'll have to find me again somewhere. Oh, wait, I see, okay. Ah, let me in. Let me in. Okay, here we go. Oh, we lost Ambrose in the void. But yeah, anyways. I wish that game developers, even AAA game developers, would go back to making cheaper to produce games. Just take the stuff that you already made that works, and then make more stuff that's better with it, you know? That's my thought on that. Like, I'm not excited for Cyberpunk at all. I think it's going to be... I have a strong sense that when I finally do play that, it's going to be a mess. Meanwhile, the first Deus Ex still holds up, so... Ambrose? No, it's not Ambrose. It's just another red person. Okay. Sean Croft suggests E.F. Schumacher's Small is Beautiful for Economics. I'll look into that. Thank you for the recommendation. There was another question here that I wanted to... Oh, I think it's gone. Where are you? Somebody asked me a question. I can't find it. Oh, right, here we go, near the bottom. Punjabify asks, have you heard of, read any work by Byung-Chul Han? Yeah, actually. I think there was a book called Saving Beauty that I picked up from my university's bookstore a couple years ago, and I read about 70% of that, and it was interesting. I haven't gone really deep into him, but... Wait. Yeah. Yeah, no, I have read a bit of him. And it was interesting. I didn't go too deep into it, but what I did read was good. I really had no excuse not to finish that book. It was like 70 pages long. But I have heard of him. John McBayorn comments, Twilight Princess was a microcosmic meditation on one aesthetic lens, though, which is why it succeeded. I'm not sure I agree with that, actually. I think Twilight Princess was kind of a chimera between Ocarina of Time. Like, if you looked at... I remember, actually, the first time I heard of Twilight Princess, before it was called Twilight Princess, there was a little picture on the bottom of a... What? Why? Why? Why would you do that? There was a little picture of a realistic Link at the bottom of a Nintendo Power issue at Walmart one day when I was passing by. Can't remember how old I was at the time. But anyways, that was like I was watching just pictures of that game on GameSpot and whatnot for almost 2 years, obsessively. And at the time, the lighting was very sort of realist. Like, it didn't have the stylized look that it eventually had. It had a very And I think this was kind of important about Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask and why they worked. The lighting in those early screenshots looked like there was the picture on the front of the Nintendo Power magazine was just of Link in front of some kind of like castle wall or something at night with some torchlight there, and the lighting was sort of like how yellow streetlights look at night next to stucco walls or something, the kind of environment that you typically grow up around today if you live in sort of a northern... Whoa, where am I going? What happened? No, where am I going? What on earth? Why is the screen over there? No. No. Where am I? Alright, well, I guess that's that. Anyways. Oh, but I won. I guess I ascended. But I don't know, it was grounded, right? Like, it felt like a real place. And I think that's one of the things that Ocarina of Time did very well, is that it felt like a... What on earth is going on here? What? Okay, this is glitching out. Let's go to another level. But what Twilight Princess ended up being... What it ended up being was... It was trying too hard to be, like, grimdark, without being grimdark. Okay, I gotta focus on this. We're on the hunt yet again. Oh, you poor fool. Come back. Come back, I dare you. Okay, we are going to race them to that button, and we are going to kill whoever has the audacity to hit that button right when this game starts. Oh, where are you? Oh, okay. Whoopsie. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But I was with yellow. I couldn't have seen anything. Okay. Yeah, brown is really sus. Take that, brown. Kiki's gonna get delivered into hell. Okay. What was I saying? Right, okay, sorry. It was stylized. It tried to be kind of grimdark, like giving Link chainmail and everything, which was fine. Yo! Oh no. Poor Kiki. Okay, so we need to get rid of yellow. He knows too much. And... yeah. I don't know. I love Twilight Princess. I just didn't like it as much as I thought I would. It was good, though. It didn't feel as open as it should have been. Like, the overworld was a series of plateaus with cliffs between them. It looked... Oops. Who reported? Who reported? I reported. I am left the game, not I am. Alright, so what's going to happen here? So once we kill purple, everyone's going to know it's not purple. Although plausible deniability. I didn't say purple did in front of me. Okay, so I think we're fine. Oh, I mean, like oh my god. Yeah, anyways. No. I'm gonna stop dissing Twilight Princess. I like Twilight Princess. It could have been more. Yes. Yes. All right, one last round, and we'll call it for tonight. Yes, Reisenberg, I did win the war on Christmas. Ugh, I hate being a crewmate. Commander Frog asks, have you ever played Stardew Valley? It's very relaxing and the soundtrack is amazing. I have trouble with relaxing games actually playing them. I love having them on in the background. Like, I love the ambience of Animal Crossing in the background, but I can't make myself play it. Like, at all. It sucks the life out of me. Well, that's not true. I do, like, mildly enjoy building a house. I don't see the appeal of doing digital yard work so you can pay off your debt to a wreck. I'm gonna die. Yay, I didn't. My brother actually loves Stardew Valley. He keeps trying to get me to play it, but I haven't yet. Maybe I will at some point. I'm too stressed out to play relaxing games. The games I play are generally horror games, and occasionally, like, I'll play Zeldas, of course, and Dark Souls, and I don't really do relaxing games a whole lot. I think the closest was Opus Magnum a little while ago. But yeah, no, I haven't played Stardew Valley. But if the soundtrack's amazing, maybe I'll check that out. My favorite Dark Souls game, that would of course be Dark Souls 1, but the best PvP was Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 1 PvP was a mess. Dark Souls 3 PvP was too fast for the kinds of weaponry that it was, and there wasn't enough variety. Like, Dark Souls 3 was just smaller than Dark Souls 2 in every conceivable way. It was tighter, but not really... Take that. I just don't like pink. But not tight enough to justify the small size of everything. And it just... I don't know. Like, Dark Souls was never really grimdark. It was always kind of just sort of surreal. It was just realist, right? Like, everything was super mundane looking, actually. Dark Souls 2 ended up being almost generic fantasy, but it still kept that kind of... that simple flavor. Dark Souls 3 was just trying way too hard to be Bloodborne, and it failed. Like, it was good, it wasn't as interesting, the lore wasn't as coherent. I think the only thing that really interested me from that game was Aldrich and the Cathedral of the Deep, and I wish they did something with the lore for the Age of Deep Waters. I think that could have been something kind of interesting, but Dark Souls is basically done, and Oh, no, blue. All right. I saw that. I was on cameras. Black didn't self-report. I actually don't know this, but I'm going to say that anyways. Yeah, Dark Souls 1 was beautiful. Dark Souls 2 was fun. It was kind of sloppy though. Like it felt more video gamey. It almost had like a Warcraft vibe to it in terms of just how. No, I'm not going to say that. It wasn't. The levels were too small. There wasn't that interconnectedness. The lore wasn't coherent. Like there wasn't really. You didn't feel like you were in a world. You felt like you were playing a game with kind of a theme. It was still really good. And it still had some really gorgeous ruins and whatnot, but they didn't have that history to them. That said, the soundtrack has some amazing numbers in it. Not as good as Dark Souls 1, with a few exceptions. The Chandra's theme was great. What's it called? The theme for that starting area, Majula. The theme for Majula was really good. The credits theme was really good. And the Royal Rat Authority was just epic. I, for some reason, associate the Royal Rat Authority boss music with Thomas Hobbes. So that's kind of dumb, but... and I also associate Nashandra's theme with Plato's Republic, just with the light in the cave stuff. I don't know why. They just kind of like trigger that for me. But Dark Souls 3 was good. It just didn't stick with me as much. And the combat seemed a lot more random. Like you could still get good at it, but I don't know. It didn't feel as good. There was a tacticalness to Dark Souls 2 that just isn't there in Dark Souls 3. I have no idea where anything is here. Okay, bridge. Up. Yay. Reset the seismic stabilizers. No. Oh. Alright. That's it for that. It's quite enough of that. But yeah, that's my meandering take on what my favorite Dark Souls is. Punjabify asks... Here, let's get off of this. You can just look at my gorgeous face instead. Yeah. Punjabify asks, is the right just Thrasymachus from the Republic cloned? No. Actually, I think a lot of the right is really Aristophanes, but I'm not going to get into that. Just less talented Aristophanes. Because Thrasymachus wasn't really a traditionalist. Thrasymachus was... he was a sophist, but, like, sophist has a bad connotation today because of Plato, but, sophist and philosopher, they have a common root word. The only difference is that, like, philosopher is a description of someone ostensibly who loves wisdom, whereas a sophist is someone who's a purveyor of wisdom. A sophist can also be a philosopher, and vice versa, right? So, like, most professional philosophers today sell books and teach for money, and that's fine. That doesn't mean that it doesn't compromise their philosophical work. It can compromise their philosophical work, but... Anyways, long story short, Thrasymachus was one of the people who were teaching the young how to be sort of guileful and to question things. So he would have been as mistrusted as Socrates in many respects. Like Aristophanes, I believe, actually regarded... Socrates was regarded as a sophist himself. It didn't have the same, I should say, negative connotation as Plato ascribed to it in his writings. But it was still a negative connotation, so they were still mistrusted because they taught people to manipulate the demos in the assembly through, cleverness and rhetoric. The traditionalists are going to be people like Aristophanes who have absolutely zero respect for people who think and who question the structures of their society, their poetry, their traditions, things like that. Who would I equate with? I mean, cynical leftists could be equated to Thrasymachus. And I don't mean that as a slight. I mean, like, just in terms of... So, just for those who don't know, in Republic, the story begins roughly with... I mean, it's early on, it's not the beginning, but at the beginning of the story, in the beginning of the narrative, there's a discussion between... That kicks off the whole discussion of justice. There's a conversation between Socrates and a sophist named Thrasymachus on what is the nature of justice, and Thrasymachus kind of skirts the question, sort of implying that justice isn't actually a thing, and he says that justice is just the interest of the stronger. So he's not actually saying that justice really is the interest of the stronger, that is to say, what is in the interest of the stronger is just. The implication is that what we call justice is really just a narrative that's imposed by the stronger to justify their domination. And so that's what kicks off the whole discussion about what is actually justice. It's not actually, sorry, the conversation goes earlier than that with Polemarchus and whatnot, but I won't get into it. But yeah, I think the analogy would be with people who are skeptical of sort of overarching narratives and things like that. I don't think the political right fits that mold at all. I think the political right fits the mold of people who are outraged and have an absolutely mocking and contemptuous attitude towards people who are skeptical of those narratives. Even if their own understanding of those narratives is itself a recent construction motivated by disgust at the people who are questioning the overarching narratives themselves. That might have been a little bit circular, but I think the meaning made sense. Anyways. What else have we got here? Do I like Skyrim? I want to like Skyrim. I love the setting of Skyrim. I like the Elder Scrolls games generally. I will say I really like Morrowind a lot more. But I also find the design incredibly condescending. There is just no depth to it. There's no significance to how you customize your character because you can actually switch things like your star sign even at any point in the game just by approaching these monoliths with a star sign on it. Spells have been reduced to basically just guns. They don't really do anything interesting. You can't levitate. You can't really teleport things to you at a distance. They put puzzles in the dungeons, but the puzzles are literally just, here's a stone block that rotates, match the picture on the stone block to the picture on the wall right behind it. It's like a block puzzle for babies. Like, why even have a puzzle at all? I mean, like, the point to these games is to have, like, the ostensible point to... Ostensible? Is that the word? Ostensive? Allegedly, Bethesda wants to make these living, breathing worlds that you can sort of roleplay in and you feel like you're there, like it has that scope to it as an actual place. But then they put in these stupid gamey things like you would find in... I mean, the puzzles in it are more appropriate to a mobile game. Like the puzzles in Among Us are more difficult than the dungeon puzzles in Skyrim. And I don't know, it's just... Like, you know, it would be... Like, Dark Souls actually does this right. Dark Souls has stuff that's sort of like the gate to Moria in the Fellowship of the Ring, where you have to be in a certain place at a certain time, maybe, and there's no progression of time in Dark Souls, but with a certain object, where you have to do a certain gesture or something, and then a door opens, or a creature appears and carries you off somewhere. Like, that's interesting. It's interesting when stuff is sort of hidden like that, and you can kind of discover it by creatively thinking through things. That's not really what you get with Skyrim. What you get with Skyrim is, okay, we want to make this world seem really big, but that takes a lot of work, so instead what we're going to do is we're going to make these sort of semi-procedurally generated tunnels, and they're going to have puzzles in it, not because the puzzles actually add anything to it, and the puzzles are all the same anyways, and they're bloody repulsively condescending and easy. But just because by having puzzles in it, it's going to feel like a bigger dungeon. No, it's just a waste of your time. I don't know. And I thought the plot was just boring. I didn't like how they made a big deal of having these multiple factions, but you can actually walk up to the throne room of any faction, stab the leader of the faction in the back, and nothing happens. And it's just silly. Like, at least in Morrowind, for instance. Obviously, it would take too much to program a plot trajectory for every single exigency, but, I mean, killing the head of state of a city is pretty obvious. Like, it should just, like, say, well done, you served the Empire well by killing Wolfric Stormcloak, or whatever his name is. Here's some money and some armor and a rank. You can now go into this house or whatever, and just the end. It simplifies things, right? Or if you don't want to do that, just do what Morrowind did, and put a notice saying, you've killed this key character, this plotline can no longer continue, and it's sort of critical to the ultimate progression of the game. Do you want to load a previous save or continue as is? Like, that's fine. Skyrim wanted to take away the consequences of your actions, which is the entire point to an RPG, is that your choices have an effect on the world. If my choices don't have an effect on the world, I'm not playing an RPG anymore. I'm playing a really buggy single-player version of PlanetSide. It's bad. Yeah, so that's my opinion on Skyrim. They've also been re-releasing the same game over and over again for the past 10 years, and I'm just bored to death of it. What are my thoughts on Xenophon? I haven't actually read a lot of Xenophon. I've read a bit of his... No, actually I haven't. I've been meaning to read that. I started to read the Hellenica, because that's sort of continuous with the end of Thucydides' Peloponnesian War. It's obviously a different book, but it's a historical period that's a bit of a mystery to me, but I haven't yet. There's just too much to read. There's actually a ton of ancient Greek literature, and it takes a long time to get through it all. Just reading Plato, for God's sake, I still haven't finished the Laws yet. I've gotten about halfway through, but... No, that's not true. I read the Laws once. But that was a long time ago, and I don't really trust my reading of it because it was sort of rushed. But yeah, there's a lot there. Jelma Barron says, Aristophanes also produces a ludicrous account of gender if you believe Plato, although it's possible the former is being sarcastic. You're thinking of the Symposium. That would be just on Plato's end. That wouldn't be Aristophanes himself. There is sort of an apocryphal story. I don't remember where it originates from. It might have been from Nietzsche. That Plato was found when he had died in his bed with a volume of Aristophanes under his pillow. I don't know how you keep a scroll under your pillow, but... maybe there's something lost in translation there. Lure Cambalon asks, Sunday play Skyrim. I actually play a ton. I am a heavy gamer. I play a lot of things. Less so now these days because I've got so much on my plate, but my favorite games these days are horror games. Why? Because they're really tight adventures with mysteries with high stakes. So you get a plot that's also like horror generally, like it builds a lot off of your own creativity, and the mysteries they deal with, they open themselves up to more interesting interpretations than just, Ganondorf opened up the chaos door or something meaningless like that. Lord Bryant asks, why is philosophy so hated, bro? Like, people think it's useless or a waste of time. I don't think it's generally hated by people. I think philosophy is often derided by people who, are inconvenienced by the fact that there are people out there who have thought about questions that they're addressing more than they have. And also because people, I mean, I think it's kind of stacked in with a general contempt for the academy, right? People associate philosophy with the liberal arts. The liberal arts are associated with feminist basket weaving or some other caricature like that, and it all kind of follows obviously from there. But I don't think philosophy is actually hated. I think philosophy is highly respected. I think a lot of people are doing really bad philosophy and trying to pass it off as not really philosophy per se, of course. Like, I don't think Peter Atkins, who says philosophy is a complete waste of time, sells himself as doing philosophy, but he's doing something that fills the role of philosophy in his world, right? So, the only people who hate philosophy are bad philosophers. That's my take on that. Alright, I'm going to ask a couple more, then I'm going to call it for the night, because my throat is killing me and I am dead tired. Liberal Destroyer asks, have you played New Vegas? It has a decent faction reputation system. I have New Vegas. I tried playing it a little bit. It's super dated. I never played it when it just came out. I did play through Fallout 3 quite a bit on PS3. But at some point I'll have to go through New Vegas. I learned recently that it has the same writer as Planescape Torment. And what is the other thing? He wrote something else that was really good. Hang on. Writer for... Oh, right, he did System Shock 2, I think. Didn't he? Hang on. Writer for New Vegas. John Gonzalez. He did Alpha Protocol. I think he did Deus Ex, actually. No, hang on. No, it's Chris Avalon. Chris Avalon's the writer for that. So Chris Avalon did... So he worked on New Vegas. He was the writer and project leader on most... Oh, on most of the DLC add-ons, I see. So he did DLC for New Vegas. And he did Planescape Torment, which was really good. And he did System Shock 1. Okay. Oh, no, that's the remake, the 2020 remake. He did, Did he do System Shock 2? No, he didn't, huh. System Shock 2 is also really good. I should do a play of that one at some point when I'm done Deus Ex. But yeah, I'll try to play that sometime. Like, no promises, but I would like to. I think streaming would be kind of nice because it would kind of force me to actually play these seriously and finish them. I do like finishing these things. They are really interesting. I think actually they're important for the same reason fantasy novels are important. Like, with sci-fi and fantasy, I think science fiction gives you more in terms of stuff to chew on, like, mentally. I think they help you grow more. But fantasy is super anthropologically interesting because what it's doing is it's taking... You're looking at somebody assume a set of categories of things that exist in the world and transplanting them over, just sort of changing the trivial content of all these little things. And that's fascinating because it tells you exactly, in a certain respect, how the writer actually breaks down their own reality. That's really interesting anthropologically. So. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Punjab, if I asked, next 5 books you got on the reading list? Like my own reading list? Right now it's Thomas Piketty's Capital in the 21st Century. We're doing Hegel's Phenomenology of Spirit right now. I'm actually reading some fantasy novels for a video coming up, so I'm reading The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan, which is actually surprisingly good. I'm finishing up Dune, which has been an absolute slog. Dune has moments where it's really fast and it's like fun to read, and then others where it's just tedious. I hate the character of Paul so much. Maybe that'll change when I finish and he's contextualized. But there's nothing worse than when people who aren't super geniuses try to write characters who are super geniuses. It probably tells you a lot for the same reason that I think that fantasy tells you a lot anthropologically, but it's still really annoying to me. That's 3. I'm also finishing, not finishing, I should be starting 7 Evs, because Andy was bugging me to read that one. It's actually pretty good. I read the first couple of chapters. Max Weber's Economy and State, I think I should read at some point. There's a history of Weimar that I want to read. That's been on my shelf for a little while. There's more than 5 books on my list, but yeah, that's a taste of what I'm getting into. And final question, what will that be? Is your voice IRL that deep? Yes, unfortunately. I used to hate it for a long time. Although I do kind of like pace myself out more in like my video essays than I do in normal speech, obviously. Like, until I speak really fast. I try to speak slower, mostly because I have a tendency to jumble my words together when I speak at a normal pace, so... But yeah, this is my actual voice. Let's do one last question. Mr. Cuckslayer asks, have you read Towards a New Socialism by Paul Cockshott, or heard of it? I have not, but I'll give that a look. I am interested in that kind of thing. Alright, so it's been a slice. I am dead tired, so we're going to wrap it up here. Just a reminder, we are joining ChudLogic at... Shoot, I just had it open. I just remember the time. What time was it? Right, okay, sorry. We are joining ChudLogic and Zonzi on ChudLogic's Twitch channel on Sunday the 13th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. So join us there. It'll be me, Jalma, ChudLogic, whoever he's bringing along, one other person from my end, and Zonzi and some other friends of his, and then one rando, we have no idea who. So that'll be a train wreck, so come watch that. I don't actually think it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that. And as well, we do have a Hegel reading group going on right now. We are doing the Phenomenology of Spirit on our Discord server. If you've ever been interested in reading Hegel and you've been finding it too difficult or whatever, I know it's the case for me, come join us. Just make sure you do the readings. We're doing the section on sense certainty right now. We also read the introduction last week, so try and catch up. I think it's only about 19 pages in total if you actually do the whole reading. So it's not too daunting, but it is a hard read, so just be advised. If you don't want to do the readings, but you still want to listen in, you are welcome. We just ask that people who haven't done the readings sort of not interject their opinions, just because it sort of breaks the flow of the conversation between the people who have done the readings. But yeah, come onto the Discord server. That's on Friday at 8 p.m. GMT. Jalma, do you want to correct me on that if that's wrong? But I think that's right. Otherwise, that's about it. So thank you all for listening, and take care. Ciao.